Remington, the Oscars were last night, and I was very happy. I was super satisfied with the show and pretty much everything that transpired. Uh, what did you think of it, man? Overall, what's your overall reaction to the show?
So I am a fan of Conan O'Brien, so it was already starting off to a pretty good start for me. I was in pretty high expectation. I'm one of these people who are just like sighing every time they get Jimmy Kimmel to do this damn thing. It's just so not funny in my opinion. But yeah, no, it was a really great time. It was funny as I have like an annual wager with a friend of mine, so we watch pretty closely together. And during that entire time, she was like bitching and moaning because of how like long it was going. I think it was like we'd gone like 30 minutes before the first award was called. But during that time, I was like, oh, it's just the Wicked medley. Like, I'm sure Conan will keep it tight with his monologue. No, Conan kept going. And in fact, like, it was basically explicitly mocking people like my friend with the whole, like, I won't waste time. I won't waste time. It was so good. But no, I had a good time. I can hardly complain since I won my wager. I went 19 out of 23 in the categories. And at the watch party I was at, there was a trivia game and my team won trivia. So, pretty much a triumph for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I watched it at home. There's no one I know that follows movies, or there's no one around here that's having an Oscars watch party. So I was
Yeah.
all hunkered down and watching it pretty closely. Do you typically like the Oscars, just as a concept? Like, are you a general fan overall of them or neutral?
I guess you could say I'm like ambivalent in some ways. Like I don't I'm not one of these people who have like an emotional crisis like every time the ceremony happens where it's like this is the end of movies. Hollywood's gone too far this time. Like every time it happens. Mainly because it's almost like I'm in a period of my life where I'm revisiting the Oscars because I was a theater kid when I was a teenager, so it was like kind of a fun thing to do to like follow the Oscars. I mean, we were kids, we obviously didn't know what we were talking about like awards handicapping wise, but it was like interesting because if you're in a space where you're fancying yourself as a young actor, you're very interested to see like what other people in that space, that industry are doing. So like following it loosely, like in the era of like Lincoln, Argo, The Artist, all of those like big movies that were doing. Les Mis was another one that I remember. Um, I remember actually the year of that the one specific year, rooting really hard for Captain Phillips because it was like the one that I saw in theaters out of all of them, and I knew who Tom Hanks was, and I thought that Barkhad Abdi, who was nominated for supporting actor, I was inspired by his story. Like he was literally just a cab driver before he was casted for this movie. And also, it was a whole meme that year, if you remember, of like, look at me, I am the captain now. So like it was like I just remember that. So but then I went for a period of just like kind of being over them, not for one specific reason, but just like, oh, this is a thing that like certain kind of people like, and I don't know if I want to be one of those people. And so I sort of drifted away and didn't follow too close. I remember there were many people who were like couldn't lost their minds with the whole like Moonlight La La Land thing, and I remember there was a lot of angry people about Green Book. But like I wasn't following it too closely, so it didn't mean anything to me. And then I started like getting more interested, like when Parasite won, because I was like, oh, that's cool, a foreign language winner. And so I remember some friends and I who had like a cursory interest, but not like a deep following, like saw it like shortly after it won because it won, basically. And then from there, I guess I got back into it, especially as I started my journey, so to speak, of getting into film and such. And as such, so I don't have like a lot of these like long-standing grudges that a lot of people have. And so for me, I actually, because I'm a lifelong political junkie, and have found the state of our country just ever more despairing, getting into movies and such as this, it's actually almost like a release for me. Because it's like a sports that I don't have to feel bad about if like certain things happen because like the country isn't going to end because like somebody won a stupid award, like the world isn't over, I'm not going to die, I'm not going to lose my rights, like I can kind of just chill and have a fun time. So yeah, I have fun. I like it. I like betting with people, and I don't have to feel guilty about that either. I'm not stuck in some like DraftKings scam, so it's all good. It's fun.
Yeah, no, there seems to always be like this weird thing on film Twitter, especially when the Oscars have a shitty year and choose something stupid where people go off about the Oscars and say that they're horrible and they don't matter. And that's fine if you have that opinion, but I don't know, man. I love the Oscars, even if they don't get everything what I want to win. I always love this show. I love the end of the year, like celebrating everything that came out in a year, because especially since I became such a junkie of watching so many things in a year, you finally get that celebration of culminating all of it together in this one night event. I love like the glitz and glamour of it and just celebrating all of that stuff. I always have such a fun time, but it seems to be like such this popular sentiment online a lot of the time. Maybe that's changing a little bit now that we have things like Parasite winning Best Picture, but yeah, I've always just even if the things something that I really hate wins Best Picture, or that doesn't change my opinion of what I thought were the best movies of the year. Would I have liked it to go a different way? Sure. And then there's ranked choice voting. The Academy is made up of how many different people that vote individually, so it's not like they have some control over what wins. It's just it's a voting system. You can't, and especially with ranked choice voting, I mean, you hear all of the pundits going through the math of, well, some people could have all of this on their number two and that could push it up to the top and this person could be a spoiler for that person, so it's like a whole thing. But yeah, no, I've always enjoyed it. Even when they don't seem to get everything right. But yeah, so no, I had a great time with this one. I thought this was one of the best ceremonies we've had in quite a while. I can't begin. You already mentioned the host. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciated Conan O'Brien. I think that was the general consensus. Everyone was just, thank God for Conan O'Brien, man. He was just up there having fun, doing his thing. And to your point, I think you and I were on the exact same level with this. When I just kept watching Conan do his bits and just be genuinely funny and seem like he's actually having a good time and enjoying it, and he always has a big smile on his face, and he's like up there singing and dancing with that bit and has the cane and doing the show tunes. I all like so much of it was not only me just enjoying and appreciating Conan O'Brien, but also I kept thinking to myself, wow, do I fucking hate Jimmy Kimmel. Like, even more. Because, he had that great entrance to where they had the bit where he was coming out of Demi Moore's body from the substance.
Yeah.
And it was so good. And all I kept thinking was, could you ever see fucking Jimmy Kimmel do any of this stuff like this? He would never do any. He's so pompous and too good. He's so like above it all. He never read to me like a comedian. He's basically just like, he just feels like your upper middle class's friend's dad, from down the street.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even feel like a real entertainer or comedian. And he's just like nonchalantly delivering jokes that other people wrote, and just fuck, man, I hate Jimmy Kimmel so much. But yeah, so delighted to see Conan. Yeah, host, I think, no question, absolutely a win. As far as the awards, I mean, I guess we can just get right into it. They started off with actor in a supporting role, and that went to Kieran Culkin, as everyone expected. Did you have like anyone that you preferred in best supporting actor? Were you happy with Culkin?
I mean, if I was personally voting, I would vote for Guy Pearce. In The Brutalist, I was very taken with that performance. I think he was an excellent villain. I think that I actually love villains and things. They're some of my personal favorite characters and a lot of great acting, and they don't usually win because no one. I think when a lot of people vote in acting categories, they tend to vote for the person they want to root for,
Mm.
and you don't think of yourself as rooting for a villain. Few exceptions being like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, and even that had some anti-hero qualities. But no, like I knew Culkin was going to win. He won all the critics groups, he won all the major precursors, so that was not a surprise in the slightest that he was going to win. And I actually really loved A Real Pain. A Real Pain made my top 10 for 2024. You may have seen that did drop recently. I believe it was like my number 6, I want to say. And it so really great film, and he's a lot of why that film works and why it's good. We all know someone like that person in our lives. And so again, I had no issue with the win. It was easy money to call, but if I was personally voting, I would have voted for Guy Pearce.
Yeah, wow. I can't agree more. I was the same way. I had, I don't know if you saw, I put my Oscar ballot out, and I did have Culkin to win, but if I would have voted, I would have voted for Guy Pearce in The Brutalist. I thought his over the top playing, like, playing basically Mr. Moneybags McCapitalist in The
Yeah,
Brutalist. That
yeah.
might as well have been his name. I loved that performance. Guy Pearce is one of my favorite actors, and he's so different in that role. He's able to completely transform into this really fun character. But yeah, I wasn't mad at Kieran Culkin winning. Obviously, yeah, it was pretty apparent. I guess I didn't even ask you, but I didn't even get a chance to ask you. Were you satisfied with a lot of the nominations? Was there any big um were-
Um, yeah, I would have liked it if A Real Pain got into picture. If Sing Sing got into picture, that would have been really cool too. Famously, you and I hated Civil War, but that was probably deserving of a sound nom. Really good sound work in that movie. I would have been happier if September 5 got 0 nominations. I don't like that movie at all. And I was miffed that it got into screenplay, which even still is a little bit of consolation because it was threatening to get into picture since it got into PGA. But we'll take our wins where we can. It was limited to screenplay, but in my mind, in my heart of hearts, it should have gotten nothing. And anything else?
challengers?
Challengers, yes, that should have gotten into score. I did see your ballot, and I saw you wrote like challengers in all caps. Like hard agree, hard agree. That branch has like a long-standing bias against electronic music, because they're still like consumed in the cult of John Williams. It's why they nominate him
Mm.
like every year. I think he has like the record of like the most like nominations or something like that. Um, and as a result, like they are biased towards orchestral music and against electronic music. And so yeah, it's kind of crazy that Challengers won like a bunch of precursors and didn't get nominated. Solid score, which a movie is also that made my top 10. I would have loved it if Daniel Craig got nominated. He was so good in Queer. Nothing against Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan getting nominated was super cool, and I didn't think they were going to do it. But yeah, Daniel Craig, that would have been a solid nomination that just didn't happen. Pour one out for Clarence Macklin, didn't quite work for him. And Sing Sing. Are there any others that I'm forgetting? Oh, I was really pulling hard for like Kneecap to get into international feature, and that didn't
Mm.
happen. Or into song. They had a song that was on the short list that didn't
Oh.
make it. And same deal with so I saw the TV Glow. They had a song that also made the short list, and like they're not the Oscars are never going to pay attention to a small film. Like I saw the TV Glow about the issues that I saw the TV Glows about, but if that song that did trend and did make the short list, I was like, Claw Machine was the song. It's the song in the movie where there's like that whole like dreamlike sequence and the band is playing at the bar that Maddie and her friend they reunite at that whole song that was on the short list and it didn't get nominated and it broke my heart. um Fuck it, even if the Wild Robot song could have gotten in, that would have been better. The song nominees were really weak this year. um
Yeah, I totally forgot that original song from I Saw the TV Glow. That yeah, that category could have been much stronger because I was thinking in my mind, yeah, I guess there's really not many original songs from this year that could be in there. But yeah, I forgot about those. And Kneecap, I never ended up seeing Kneecap, but that makes sense. There would have been an original song from that movie. Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, yeah, I was thinking about it because in all reality, in most cases, even if, I'm hundreds of beavers isn't getting a best picture nom, I'm fine with
No.
that, but for what I think a good reflection of the year is, I think the nominations for the most part were pretty good. The only thing I was really thinking of is, I would probably have taken out fucking Conclave from every single nomination and
Oh
just
yeah.
replaced it with like challengers for something. Challengers could have easily gotten cinematography. I mean, and challengers isn't even in my top 10. It's not even in. I don't even think challengers ended up being in my top 20. But I can recognize that that was one of the most popular films of the year, and definitely deserving of so many of these awards. So just the fact that it got completely shut out, and yeah, I probably would have knocked down a few nominations for Amelia Perez and stuck in like, yeah, Daniel Craig, even though I didn't end up seeing Queer, but I know he was a pretty popular choice. And yeah, that was the only huge omission from this year's Oscars, like blatantly was Challengers to me, which could have just been replaced so many of these Conclave nominations. But I guess Conclave, my only justification in my head is maybe this is just the old Academy being reflected here with Conclave, because and I'm sorry, I don't even I didn't even think Ray Fiennes was anything special in Conclave.
Oh my god.
Truly.
This is Dan, you've done a 180 because when I was reacting to Conclave, I was like, this is a mid movie that I'm not that high on. And you were like, no, Conclave is fine. You're being mean. You're being mean to it and a complete unknown. And now you're like, I'm joining the hate wagon.
No.
Here I am. And I'm like, welcome, sir. Welcome. Well,
I don't hate Conclave. I thought it was fine, but I don't think it like deserved Oscar nominations. It was so mid, like so forgettable. Even as much as I hate Amelia Perez and thought it genuinely sucked, I understand the Zoe Saldana nomination. I understand. I mean, the music wasn't that good, but there was like, that was the whole thing of the movie, was the original songs. I don't know. Like Conclave to me just is, and it was like something different that stood out. It was a big swing. Conclave to me was just such a like, that was good. Like whatever. I mean, it was the most average movie to put in, but I guess it was more Oscar baity. So I don't know. It almost.
well, this was an election year, so it was topical to a lot of people. It's based on a book that was also kind of meant to mirror the 2016 election, so there's like some circularity there. People like Ray Fiennes, so they wanted to throw things his way. Isabella Rossellini, despite being like acting royalty, she's never been recognized in that way, so that was fun for people. And also, we've had a real starvation of like mid-budget films in this country, especially ones that have done well, like Conclave. So with a movie that's solidly a lot of people's like second favorite, third favorite, fourth favorite, fifth favorite movie, of course it's going to get in there. And for a while, it didn't really materialize in actual wins. But if you were like handicapping this going in, you would have thought that was number two going into the night because that movie won SAG Ensemble. So it was clearly some people's favorite thing. But I agree, it's very mid. I don't like thinking of it as the symbol of the 2024 election, even though I guess it's fitting in the sense that the movie's message is really voting. It's hard. And like, yeah, I guess that is why we're here, aren't we? Yes.
It was just such a it was yeah. No, just the whole presence of Conclave at the awards like had me disgusted. I was just thinking, who is saying like they like literally no one was saying, "Oh, I'm rooting for Conclave." And the idea that, I'm sure you were following the all of the punditry as closely as I was as the race got closer, people were like last minute legitimately thinking, okay, Brutalist is out, could be Honora. It's between Honora and Conclave. I kept thinking, if that's the world we're gonna live in, where Conclave takes home Best Picture, oh god, we dodged a bullet with that one. But yeah, okay, so but then we have actress in a supporting role. This one, went the way everyone thought it would go. Zoe Saldana took it home. I'm happy with it. I think she was definitely deserving. Some people thought it would have been Ariana Grande. What did you like this win? Did you like her speech and whatnot?
It was fine. I have no antipathy towards her personally, even though I don't like Amelia Perez either. I think I saw someone, I think it was like Matt Neglia on Next Best Picture. He was kind of talking about like for Zoe Saldana, the reason why she was kind of like controversy proof in terms of like sinking Amelia Perez's chances and why she stayed strong throughout is that this was also kind of like a career Oscar for her because she's actually been in like a number of very successful blockbusters that made a lot of people a lot of money. So this is kind of like her first moment to really shine by herself as herself when she's not like in a motion capture suit in an Avatar movie, you know what I mean? Or under heavy makeup in a Guardians movie, so you lose track of her. And so this is a lot of people's way of saying we see you and we appreciate you. So I have no problem with her win on that level, and I knew, like I said, you knew it was going to come. She won all the major precursors, easy money to predict it. So very fine. If I was personally voting, I may have gone rogue and like voted for Ariana Grande because she was fun and wicked, or I would have voted for Felicity Jones because I thought she was really good in The Brutalist. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But again, no issues with the win.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And yeah, that was the ongoing narrative is, yeah, here's someone that is literally been in the highest grossing movies of all time. She was also in the Star Trek franchise, which I wasn't aware
Was
of.
she?
Yeah, apparently she was in like the Star Trek movies.
Oh wow.
I'm not a big Trekkie, so I
Me
don't.
neither. No, and I haven't seen the J.J. Abrams. I haven't seen the sequel that he made. The original J.J. Abrams one he did. I haven't seen that since it came out. So I was like 12.
Yeah.
So I have almost no memory of these things.
Yeah, no. So I totally appreciate the win. Yeah, just someone who's really put in the work, and I genuinely thought she was great in Amelia Perez. I thought she was, had the physicality, the dancing, the singing, even though the songs were shit and the movie was shit. She's doing great work, and it's funny. I was thinking about this. What if Ariana Grande pulled an upset and won the award? And I thought she was great in Wicked too. I got real like pissed just thinking about the state of the world, and I really hate. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I really hate. Typically, I really hate like celebrity worship and always kissing the ground of like big celebrities and stuff like that. And I kept having this thought when I was looking at this category, and thinking, would it really be like cool if Ariana Grande walked away with an Oscar for acting? And I couldn't help but think, what really drives me nuts a lot today in just our culture is so many people now are famous for having like no talent. Like how many some of the most famous people in at least American culture right now are podcasters, live streamers, just quote unquote comedians, but really they just do podcasts and they go on stage like once every 2 years, and like whatever happened to stand up comedy being the lowest form of entertainment. And like to have all of these actors who are actually in movies and they're acting and they sing and they dance, and I just couldn't help but think, you know what? Fuck yeah. She's actually like famous for
Yeah.
something. You have a talent. Let's celebrate that.
Yeah.
I was
Her
so
origins are like a theater kid who then got into a Nickelodeon show and was like everyone's favorite character and then became like a huge sensational pop star and is now working her way back into acting. Like that is talent. Like
yeah,
she like you had to be good to do those things.
yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I was like, fuck yeah, she could win that award and deserve it. You know, she's yeah, and I knew of her theatrical background, and she was funny in Wicked. You know, and even Monica Barbero had to learn to sing for A Complete Unknown, and I know how you feel about that movie, but I thought she was great. You know, I kept thinking, God damn it, these people are actually putting in the work and they have talent. So I was just, you know what, I would have been fine with Ariana Grande too. Uh, Here's a question: if you're an Oscar voter, are you a purist where you think if you're filling out your ballot, right, of who you would vote for to win, are you a purist where you think I am picking who I think is objectively the best in this category, or do you do like a little, well, Zoe Zeldana, she's like put in the work, I like her so much, like do you weigh those things, or oh, if Mikey Madison, well, she's so young, she's gonna have another chance. Demi's put in years. Do you know what I mean? Would you fill out your ballot with a little bit of a weighted curve when you're thinking of who you're gonna vote for, or are you just purist? Whoever is the best, I think the best performance, that's who I'm picking.
It's difficult to say because I think the temptation when you're actually a voter is to like vote for your friends, right? Like that's how Diane Warren keeps getting nominated is that she just has a bunch of friends in that branch and they just keep voting for her. But then it's like, oh yeah, you want to be pure, but you also want to be fair. You know, it's hard to say unless like you're actually in that position. I want to say that my temptation would be to just really like take big swings with my ballot because everyone else is going to do the thing that they think they should do, and which is just vote for the stuff that they think everyone else is going to vote for because they don't want it to be them that falls on like why did you make this choice. So like do something interesting with your ballot and like make some big swings, call some shots, have fun with it. So that's where I think I would go, but it's hard to say unless I was actually in that position because I could easily see myself like wanting to not be like not pure nepotism, but like, oh, this is my friend, and I saw that they did all this hard work, and so I kind of know the personal story here, and I want to support them. It's hard for me to say that I wouldn't be influenced by that, swayed by that.
Can I say, and I don't know if this is, I guess this is a hot take, but I don't really care when people say like, "Oh, these Oscar voters, they didn't watch all the movies on the ballot. They should watch every single thing, or how are they just voting for whatever their friend tells them to?" I don't know, man. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with that, if I'm being honest. I would think if you're an Academy voter, it would be nice. I mean, I think you should try to see the movies that you're voting for, and it seems like a lot of them probably do. Or at least if you're, at least if you are, um, saying, asking a friend like, "Hey, what do you think?" Hopefully, your friend has good insight on what, or your, like, to me, and especially when a lot of the times the people that are in the Academy voting are the people that are working in the industry, the ones that are doing the work. So I would think that they would have an appreciation for what they think they would want to win. Or, of course, like you said, there's friends involved, there's a ton of campaigning. I guess I just get a little like annoyed when people have this expectation where they think everyone should watch every single movie, especially when these people, like, it's literally impossible to do that for most of these people, and just most regular like pundits and people that follow this very closely. I guess to me it's almost like I don't know, maybe I'm off on that. That's kind of how I feel though.
Yeah, no, I disagree. Because you may not know this, but Academy voters actually have access to a special Academy member only streaming app that has like literally all the nominees that you can watch on the app at any time during award season. So there is really no excuse because even before that, they have special screening times that you can go to at the Academy Theater to go and watch them if you prefer it that way. Maybe you didn't have the time, maybe you couldn't make it, maybe you weren't in LA at that time. But now that's literally on an app and you can watch it whenever on your flight, on the bus, in your home, at your cousin's place. Like it's all doable. And I guess I would have less of a problem if it was just I'm very busy in my work schedule and I don't always have the time. But really, like, when you see these anonymous ballots that get leaked to whatever, news org is doing this, and they usually have the opportunity to provide a justification for why they chose the things they chose, you get like some of the most laziest responses where it's just like, "Oh, I didn't watch them because they're too long," or "Oh, I don't care about the shorts." It's like, "No, people worked hard on this." Like, you're telling me ostensibly you think this is important because you nominated it. Like come on, give them some respect. You're the people who are supposed to love movies. Like, show me that you love movies. So I I do disagree.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get it. I understand. I guess to me it's kind of like I would hope that yeah, if you are in that industry, I would hope that most of the people voting would respect the work. I don't know. Maybe yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. But anyway, let's move down the line here. So this was actually one of the biggest upsets of the night. Animated feature film went to Flow, the first Oscar for a Latvian movie. Uh, Funny enough, the animated feature category is probably my biggest ignored category of the entire year, which is shocking for me because I love animation. I didn't see Inside Out 2, Flow, or The Wild Robot. Uh,
What's wrong with you?
I know. Those are my biggest blind spots of the year. I just didn't get around to seeing them. I know a ton of people love Flow. I have a weird feeling that I wouldn't like The Wild Robot that much. Memoir of a Snail, one of my favorite movies of the year. What did you think about this upset? Were you happy about it?
Um, So this is one of the categories I got wrong because I went with my head and not my heart. And Wild Robot had actually won a bunch of precursors, so I picked Wild Robot. So on that level, I was annoyed by it. On another level, I am pleased to see that it does seem to be true that we have finally broken the like Disney Pixar duopoly of wins in this category. If you look at the history of the category since they created it in 2002, almost all the wins have been for either a Disney or a Pixar film. And Disney had never gone more than like 2 years without winning a category. This is the first time this had happened with Flo's win. Because if you remember, Del Toro's Pinocchio, that's Netflix. Then we had last year with Boy and the Heron, that's Studio Ghibli. And then we have this year with Flo, which I don't know who's distributing that, but independent distribution all the same. So yeah, we've broken the Disney Pixar duopoly, and it means that we need to like really rethink how this category gets forecasted. So it's a really cool win. Flow is not my personal favorite animated movie of the year. I am actually also a Memoir of a Snail booster. That what did make my top 10 as well. And so, I would have preferred to see that win if we weren't going to do the obvious Disney winner like Inside Out 2 or the actually conventional favorite amongst mainstream American animation, which is The Wild Robot. But hey, Flow, I didn't hate Flow. It was a fine time. But you should see Flow and you should see um what was the other one you didn't see?
Wild
You
Robot.
can go you should see The Wild Robot. You can take it or leave it on Inside Out too. I thought it was mid. But yeah, no, I love animation. I do believe animation is cinema. So I am always fascinated by the surprises this category will throw me. Same with animated short film. The shorts there are always some of my favorite each year.
Yeah, I didn't get to the shorts either. I did last year watch quite a few of the shorts, I remember, especially the animation ones. You know what it is? Yeah, I think I just had no interest in Inside Out 2. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I didn't even think about this until literally the awards were on last night. I'm looking through the nominations. I don't know how I didn't clock this because all of the pundits, everyone was so strongly saying, hey, best animated feature, it's going to be The Wild Robot. And I didn't even put two and two together. I was like, wait a minute. Inside Out 2 is in this category. And we're not talking, Elemental or whatever the hell the crappy Pixar releases have been pushed out in the last couple of years. This is Inside Out 2. It was like, what, one of the highest grossing movies of the year? Everyone
Yeah.
loved Inside Out 2. So it was weird to me that no one was even clocking that Inside Out 2 was going to win it. No one was even predicting that, which, yeah, it really shows how much Disney has fallen in this category, you know? But I didn't even realize that until the night. I was like, holy shit, no one's even predicted that Inside Out 2 had this. It was
It was
crazy.
only 2021 that Encanto was dominating, like is everywhere, peak like cultural zeitgeist, and now it feels like a million years ago because like it's just been a while since Disney or Pixar have had a hit. Like, and I like Turning Red. Don't get me wrong. I think Turning Red is great, and I think Disney did an injustice towards that movie by having it go direct to streaming. But that wasn't close that year. Like Del Toro's Pinocchio dominated that year. And so like it's been a minute since they've had a hit. Maybe Elio will be good. I don't know. I've been looking forward to Elio. They've severely pushed back its release time. I think it was originally supposed to come out in 2023. But that's another Domi Shi. I might be mispronouncing her name wrong, but she's the one who did Turning Red and she did Bow, which everyone loved. She co-directed Elio. So maybe that will be good. Maybe we'll change directions here. But yeah, Disney and Pixar, they have been taking a bruising these last few years.
Yeah, it is funny, yeah, when you think about it, they've just been on their remake arc for the past couple of years. So it was so funny that I didn't even think of it. But yeah, no, obviously would have loved to see Memoir of a Snail walk home with it, but they didn't have a chance. I also saw the new Wallace and Gromit movie because it was on Netflix. Uh, eh, it was kind of whatever. I appreciate stop
It's
motion.
fine.
I
Yeah,
love,
it's fine. I like Wallace and Gromit. It's not top tier Wallace and Gromit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, then we have, the below the line. I don't know if you consider cinematography below the line, but the Brutalist winner. I like that win. I don't think I would
It's a
have.
good win.
Oh, I would have picked Nosferatu. I would have given this one to Nosferatu. Uh,
Um, I think The Brutalist is a good win. I would not be mad if Nosferatu won. Personally, if we had it my way, I tend to sympathize with the faction within that branch that tends to be like black and white purists. And so I would have really liked it if The Girl with the Needle snuck in at like a number 5 slot, because
hmm.
that was like the big black and white movie this year. But yeah, if I were voting, I don't know. Maybe I'd be tempted to vote for Nosferatu. Maybe I'd be tempted to vote for Maria. That was a really gorgeous movie that didn't really get anywhere else. It wasn't like top tier Pablo Rain, which is why it didn't really materialize any other nominations. But I'm not mad at the Brutalist win. It was what I predicted, and it has good cinematography. So
Yeah, I didn't. Did you like the Brutalist? I loved the Brutalist. I thought it was
oh, I
great.
like the Brutalist. Yeah, yeah. I think the Brutalist is good. I mean, I hesitate to put it in like my top tier movies. You'll see it didn't make my honorable mentions or my top 10 because I think it has like I think it's very ambiguous in places, and I don't think it's ambiguous for truly artistic reasons. I think it's just because I don't know if Brady Corbet fully considered what he was saying in certain parts beyond the central message of like getting Final Cut is hard, and and so everything else is left ambiguous because that's just not what his focus was. But it's just a immaculately crafted movie with some really good central performances, excellent score. So really, really, really a great movie and really interesting to like. There's been some really good takes that have come out ever since it came out, video essays and such, and Twitter and long, Twitter threads trying to like decipher the meaning of different pieces, and that just goes to show that you have something really good cooking there.
Yeah, no. So I wasn't, even though I'm obviously an Anora stan. I had no problem with the Brutalist like in this race. It didn't make my top 10, but it's definitely in like my top 15. I think
Mhm.
it's pretty up there for me this year. Costume design went to Wicked. Oh, that guy had a nice speech. He was good. I didn't. Yeah, I think I picked Wicked to win this one. I mean,
I
give
picked
it.
Wicked.
Yeah, give it something. I don't know. Directing. Okay. Yeah, Sean Baker wins for Anora. Would you have picked anyone else?
Um, In that category, I would have wanted Denis Villeneuve to get nominated, and he didn't. But if I was voting, then I guess of the options I would pick Sean Baker personally. Mainly because it's a Norris time. So if I was voting, I probably would have just gone with Sean Baker. That said, let's see Brady Corbet come back another year, because it was a feat that he directed um, the Brutalist. And if he was a little more established, he probably could have split it, because when there's a split, you shouldn't predict splits with picture and director. They usually go along with one another. But if it's a split, it's usually because there's a more like celebrated veteran auteur whose movie everyone really loves, even though it's not the populist favorite, but it's like the directorial feat of that year. But Corbet was just a little too new to make that happen. So you think back to like so Jane Campion, she'd been around the block, so she could split with Coda. And you think back to like the Inarritu, who won? Oh yeah, the 2015 with like Inarritu for The Revenant, and then you had Spotlight and Picture, and because Inarritu, he's a celebrated foreign auteur. Even if you go back to the 90s, where Steven Spielberg, who had been nominated so many times and hadn't won, then he gets director but not picture, for the Saving Private Ryan's Shakespeare in Love year. It's stuff like that. So I loved Vox Lux from Brady Corbet. I think it's an amazing movie. But let's see what he has in the future.
Yeah, no, and just seeing, dude, seeing Quentin Tarantino walk out onto that stage to the surf rock, and he is such a fucking dork, and he will always try so hard to be cool, but he's not, but you just love him because he's kind of earned it. Like everyone's like, okay, Quentin, you're cute, like, but you've earned it. Like you're never gonna actually be cool, but like he's just like, hey, these directors, these guys really got the stuff, and he's just like he tries so hard, and there's something about him that's so I'll always love QT. He's so charming.
Yeah, he's fun.
And yeah, just seeing him give it to Sean Baker, man. Oh, that just warmed my damn heart. Um but yeah, no, and it's funny. Where's the writing stuff? Because I think they gave oops, am I just going all the way down? Where's the writing? Okay. Writing original. The first one that Honora won was original screenplay. And I'm listening to everyone in like the aftermath listen to the like all the recaps, and people were saying like, oh, when Honora won like writing, it seemed like, oh, that was when like the writing started to be cut, like to be coming on the wall of like, oh, this is going Honora's way. Even when Sean Baker won directing, I still wasn't convinced like that Honora was going to win Best Picture. I was like, I still feel like this could just go anywhere. Like if we've learned anything, it just feels like maybe I've just been listening to way too many pundits and people like, going back and forth on the race and what's going to happen. I just was so convinced like Honora could get all of these awards, and then The Brutalist could still walk away with Best Picture, or Conclave, God forbid, somehow, So I wasn't convinced when like even when Mikey Madison won. I kept thinking it could split it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if you felt that way, but
So I knew once it won editing, because it wasn't supposed to win editing. And if it won editing, that means it was overperforming, and that means they loved it. So they was probably going to win picture. So like any of the like going into awards night, there was a concern that it was a weak front runner. Because really in precursors, the only area where it was strong was ironically Best Picture itself, which is a thing that doesn't usually happen. When you're trying to figure out winners, you need to think of things in terms of a win package, right?
mm,
Because if it's truly someone's favorite movie, you think they're only going to vote for it once? No, they're going to vote for it a million times. So in all the different categories. But it's kind of weird to see a situation where something only won Best Picture, and we were like, "Oh, is this going to be the time? This is going to be the time?" Because it was, pretty contested in director, and pretty contested in screenplay, pretty contested in actress, pretty contested in editing. So it was like, what could this be? And it wasn't. No one really thought it was going to win editing. No one really thought that people liked Sean Baker enough to give him 4 awards personally. And so when it won editing, it was like, oh yeah, it's over. It's over. They won. Goodbye, Conclave. Not happening. Screenplay, I was kind of like, well, it could have gone either way. Screenplay was pretty close. It's like, okay, maybe they just happened to prevail there. Good for them. Not a bad win. Even though I would have liked to see a real pain win. But editing it, that's when I was sure. I was like, oh, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. No, I mean, I was jumping up and down every time they said Honora's name.
I know.
I was freaking out. No, I would have, and like that's the thing too. I like to if I would have given a real pain anything, I would have given them. I mean, I think this was they Culkin won, but I would have given this to Jesse Eisenberg. I thought he had a great script. But yeah, I'm thinking, fuck man, Honora, best. I can't complain there. I'm favorite movie of the year. Not not discounting that. Adapted screenplay. Why apparently this was such a lock for Conclave.
Yeah.
I would have given this is where I would have shown Nickel Boys some love. I don't know about you.
Um, yeah, I mean, if I was voting, I think I would have probably voted for Nickel Boys. Um, but the Conclave win, like you said, it was a lock. It was not surprising. It won the BAFTA, and I believe it won Critics' Choice and Adapted too. So it was very locked in. And if it had qualified at WGA, it probably would have won Adapted at WGA too. So I think that it wasn't surprising to me. I don't personally think we should reward a screenplay that has such banal conclusions. But a lot of people had fun with the movie. They liked the movie. So I think that understandably, it's also fun that a thriller wins because the Academy tends to be a little more averse to thrillers. And whether or not we like the conclusions, we like the bigger ideas around it. I do feel like it was an engaging thriller to watch. These like sweaty old men being gossiping about each other. The whole time. So there is a little bit of fun element to it.
Yeah, I guess. Uh, yeah, no, but look? I like A Complete Unknown. I know how you feel about A Complete Unknown. Best writing? It was literally just a fucking music video movie. That was the whole thing, was that it didn't really have a story. Yeah, that's a shitty nomination. But yeah, no, happy with that. And I'm happy Dune Part 2 got in with some below the line wins. I'm so happy they got visual effects and sound. Right? I mean,
Yeah, no, it was good. Especially since it was probably going to win sound, but there was a chance it could have lost sound. So it's good to see that it won sound. It's good to see that they gave Denny some shout outs there. I kind of wish the Academy did more right by it in terms of nominations because I think Dune Part 2 is better than Dune Part 1. No shade to Dune Part 1, but I do think it is objectively better. And I think everyone coping by saying, oh, they're going to give it the Return of the King treatment. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if we should take that for a given, especially since I haven't read Messiah, but everything I know about Messiah and have heard about Messiah is that one's actually even crazier than Dune in ways I don't know is going to appeal to the average Academy voter or even the average moviegoer for that matter. So yeah, I don't know if the Return of the King treatment is in its crystal ball, so to speak.
yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna go at next. I was gonna say, do you think they're gonna do a Return of the King? And everyone's saying do you guys know what the plot of Dune Messiah is? Yeah, so I don't know. But no, I do agree that part 2 was definitely better than part 1. Favorite, that was your favorite of the year, correct? Dune Part 2?
Dune Part 2? Yes.
Final?
Yes.
Yeah.
No other movie wowed me, blew my mind, made me come back for more as much as that movie did. So it just objectively had to be number 1. So no, great movie. Fantastic movie. Actually, I didn't get the chance to see it. I haven't seen Part 1 in theaters. Did you know that?
No, did I see part 1 in theaters? I think I did.
Because
It was
I
during.
think it only had It was during COVID, so it only
Yeah.
I don't I think it only had, like, a very limited run, and then it went to, like, streaming so quick, and that's when I saw it, when it dropped on HBO Max.
Oh shit, I might have seen it on HBO Max too. I don't know if yeah, that was during COVID. Maybe I didn't
Because
either.
yeah, and then it had, like, a brief re-release because as, like, part of building the hype for part 2, like, around the same time, I didn't get the chance to go. And I was hoping for Oscar season they would do another re-release, but they didn't, at least not in my area. So yeah, Warner Brothers,
Yeah,
re-release it, please.
that's funny. Yeah,
Um,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, we'll see with part 3. Yeah, but maybe, and like the thing is, who knows? I genuinely think, and I am so firm on this now. I was kind of waffling back and forth thinking about it, looking at my lists of I love doing this. I love looking at like, okay, here's everything I saw in 2023 on my letterbox list. Here's everything in 2024. I genuinely think 2024 was a better year for movies than 2023. I just overall think there was so many more bangers this year. So like maybe when Dune Part 3 comes out in what, like 2026 or something? I don't know if we're 27. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, but who knows? Maybe there might not be like a lot of big movies that come out that year that are but we'll see if it pulls a Return of the King,
yeah.
but um all right. What else did we score? Really happy. I mean, fucking A, man. Yeah, if it wasn't gonna go to challengers, oh wait, that's yeah. Happy it went to the Brutalist. Love that score. Amazing score. Still listen to it. Um, I don't know if you disagree with that or if you're happy with that one.
I was I predicted it, it was fine. Good win, like I pretty much same page as you. If it couldn't be challengers, why not do the brutalist? Like the score is probably the thing you think of the most when you think of the brutalist, like the horns going like da na na na, like that sound is just like what I hear when I go into AMC Lincoln Square, right? That is the cathedral of moviegoers in New York City. When you enter that giant IMAX, that's what you hear in your head. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
When you see the huge screen as you come in, yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
I actually I listened to the they're all I think the first 3 tracks on the score are that's when I know I have a good score on my hands when I go back and listen to it on Apple Music. I've listened to the one that is playing when you get the bus shot and the opening credits, the dun 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 dun
Mm.
dun. Oh, that was cinema. But yeah, no, definitely good for that one. Makeup and hairstyling, the substance. I'm glad we gave the substance something. Um, Definitely don't disagree with any of that. International feature film. I'm still here. I'm surprised that people were still thinking that Amelia Perez had this one. I think I predicted that I'm Still Here was going to win. I don't know. I just thought that one had the oomph. No, but
So yeah, I got it right too. I predicted I'm still here, but it was genuinely a hard one to call this year. So traditionally, best international feature in the last few years has actually been one of the easier categories to call because the rule usually goes, whichever movie is in also in best picture, that's the one that's going to win because that's everyone's favorite one. But this year we had two in there, which had never happened before. So it was hard to know which one it was going to be because Amelia Perez, yeah, it was facing backlash, but it still had 13 nominations, right? So it's like, well, where are the people who are still defending this thing going to go? But then you have to think, well, I'm Still Here has this like like incredible passion behind it. Where I'm sure you may have noticed this on your own social media, but if anyone who has any following at all, they just had to like tag it, and a million Brazilians are going to flock to their mentions, and like retweet this thing because this is like their movie of the year. So you had to also wonder where was all that passion going to go, especially if it looked like Fernando Torres wasn't going to win. And so that's what ultimately persuaded me that like Amelia Perez is probably going to bottom out. And so you go over to I'm Still Here, which is the only other movie in the category that has real shooters for it. And so yeah, I went with I'm Still Here and I prevailed.
yeah, no, yeah, I liked the movie. I thought it was good. No like big strong feelings about it, but yeah, happy to see that one win. Editing, yeah, Sean Baker Honora. I'm sorry, I just I can't get over how much I genuinely thought he deserved it. I've just been such a Sean Baker stan since Tangerine. He's a it goes as like my favorite contemporary filmmakers. It goes Sean Baker, then Eggers. Like those two are my top tier, and Baker is, I just haven't seen anything from him yet that I didn't absolutely love.
Have you
Um,
seen Florida Project and like Tangerine?
yes, I didn't see. There's a few of his older films that I'm going to check out like pretty soon. But yeah, love Tangerine. Um, Red Rocket is my number 4 favorite film of all time. That like has made it to that point where I can't stop. I watch clips from that constantly. I
Oh,
think
that movie's amazing.
yeah. Oh, dude, I can't get
Yeah.
enough of watching Red Rocket. Just his everything about Sean Baker's style. I like. It was very cathartic for me to like actually when I'm writing. I'm writing like my top 10 of the year like script of just like breaking down what I love about all these movies, and it was just so great to like actually try to like express in a scripted way what I love so much about his movies. And I think Honora, honestly, I think Honora might be my second favorite from him that I've seen so far. Um, yeah,
I've only seen Red Rocket and Honora, and I liked Red Rocket more than Honora. Which didn't say I didn't dislike Honora. I liked Honora. I'm happy
yeah,
with its wins, you know. But like yeah, I really liked Red Rocket, and I'm thinking of trying to see Florida Project soon, since he won. You know, look back on some of his other stuff. It's been on my list for a very long time. Florida Project, especially since I'm a big Willem Dafoe fan. So
yeah,
yeah, no, good wins all around.
yeah. That was the only thing that stood out about the Florida Project was yeah, it had Willem Dafoe in it, where pretty much most of his other movies are either actors that are not very well known or just non-actors. That I think Florida Project is probably my least favorite, even though I still love it. I think I put Tangerine above it, but you see, it's all very much the same style, and you could tell this is his voice. And obviously, you've seen Red Rocket, and you can it just Honora was on the I don't even want to say the biggest scale, but I guess it is like him on his biggest scale. And Tangerine, yeah, it's just like a microfilm, but still so great. But yeah, he's been making movies since he has a couple other ones that I still haven't seen yet, but those are the 4 that are his most popular. Um, but yeah, let's I think we did most. We can get to the other stuff at the end. We did Amelia Perez. Okay, so actor in a leading role. Adrian Brody. No upset there. I see everyone. I was so wrong in this category, in the leading role categories. I was of the opinion that everyone was going, oh well, it could be Demi or Mikey. They're kind of going neck and neck, and everyone was pretty firm on Brody getting actor in a leading role. I wasn't convinced. See, I thought I was playing 4D chess, and I thought, no, this is what's going to happen. I think it's a lock for Demi. I think it definitely could be close, but I think Demi's taking it, and I think the upset of the night is I think Tim Cham is walking away with Best Actor. I had that prediction, and I was so wrong. I thought, nope, the big headline, the big upset of the night is going to be Timothée Chalamet wins the Oscar for Best Actor in an upset. Because I just had in my mind, people love The Complete Unknown. People love Timothée Chalamet. I know there's that whole argument of he's too young and he's too, he's going to have other chances. They made Leo wait. They'll make him wait. I don't know, man. I just thought they're probably just saying fuck it. And I was thinking that maybe Brody already having an Oscar for Best Actor, I thought that was gonna hurt him, so I was like, nah, my gut's going Timothée Chalamet, but I was so wrong. But yeah, what did you think about that win?
Yeah, you were wrong.
You would have been so pissed if that motherfucker, that twink, got up on stage for Bob
I
Dylan.
mean, I liked him. I just think his best performance of the year was doing part 2, not a complete unknown. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, they what you got to know is the Academy. They make the boy ingenues wait, and they like the girl ingenues. That's just usually how it goes. So he is, in a sense, he's our new Leo now because what's going to happen is that a lot of people did like a complete unknown. The Academy, even though they didn't give it any wins, like they over nominated it. And the fact that Timmy, its headliner, didn't win when a lot of people were shooting for him and he won the SAG award. He's probably our new Leo now. It's probably going to start a chain of people being like, when's he going to win? When's he going to win? And then he just needs the Revenant. So to go and do it. Yeah, no, it's probably going to start a whole arc here. But I didn't think he was going to win. I had Adrian Brody pretty firmly all year. He won Golden Globe, he won Critics' Choice, and he won, most importantly, he won BAFTA. So even though I knew the SAG win for Timmy, which also was pretty obvious because SAG liked a complete unknown, even though I knew that was coming, I wasn't going to let it give me gas. I was just going to stick with Adrian Brody, and I was rewarded for it in the end.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I love Adrian Brody. Let me tell you, I love a B movie stan. So I was super happy for him. Yeah, and I think if you're going with, okay, in this category, out of these five, who was, not objectively, but who could you say who do you truly think in your heart was the best performance of the year out of these five? And I think it was clearly Adrian Brody. I don't think there's any question about that. My vote would have
Oh, if I was
been,
voting,
yeah.
if I
Well,
was voting,
uh-huh.
I would pick Sebastian Stan.
Me too. I was gonna say
I
that.
would I think no other performance carries the moral authority of his, and in these times, I think it would have been so special if he had won. To this day, in fact, when I saw The Apprentice, initially I wasn't as high on it, but as I like sat with it and thought about it, it's really his performance. Like, there's a lot of cool things going on in the direction, but it's really his performance that sells it to me because that like it's not the last scene, but it's like one of the like penultimate scenes, like when he's with the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal, and he's like explaining, and you like see how he's co-opted Roy Cohn's rules, and he's like explaining, like that gives me chills to this day. And like that's so much of like his work. Like we've spent years of seeing this man parodied to death to where it's like almost uninteresting to think about playing Donald Trump, but Sebastian Stan does it so well, so well. And I just think it would have been such a special win if he had won, but we knew it wasn't going to happen. The prize was getting nominated at all.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I was so delighted when I looked at your top 10 and I was like, "Oh my god, The Apprentice." I think it's making the cut for my top 10 too. It's my top 10 is the bottom 5 of my top 10 is moving around so much, but I think it's making the cut. Yeah, I fuck man, the Apprentice was so good. I can't agree with you more. He wasn't when he was first cast as Donald Trump, I was like so excited, but also I thought, what? How is he gonna do this? But he really is just a chameleon, and seeing him in a different man, he is genuinely, I think, one of the greatest actors we have working today. He he's not doing an impression of Donald Trump. He's kind of bringing his own thing to it. Yeah, it was just it's such a masterful performance, and that movie was just so compelling. I loved it. About the most evil man of our time, and his origin story. I just absolutely found it riveting. But yeah, no, that would have been my vote. My like throw a curveball in there. Fucking Sebastian Stan, motherfucker. Give it for him. Could you imagine what that speech would have been like? Uh,
Oh, it would have been incredible. You have to think about it. Like they literally tried to censor this movie. Like
yes.
Trump tried to keep it from happening. And so the very fact that it got anywhere at all is like a huge win in of itself.
Yeah, and I was so pissed off after I saw it, and I started seeing all the reactions of like, well, it kind of humanizes Trump. Well, we don't want to see. I'm like, what do you mean? Did you see the fucking movie? It completely is like the whole thing is like a takedown of him, of just an expose of how evil this guy is. Like, it's not
Yeah, no,
endorsing
just
him.
because it's depicting him, and not in a like cartoonish SNL kind of way does not mean that it's like sympathetic to him, right? Just
Yeah.
because you understand him does not mean you have to like feel bad for him or agree with him. Like so silly. Like, did you like do you think a movie that's truly sympathetic to him would depict the fact that he raped his first wife, something that's like highly contested in Trump world? Like no, it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I just and I'm a Jeremy Strong stan. Both of them together. The minute I knew it was those two in that movie, I thought, oh, we're in for something here. Uh, but yeah, no, I just kept thinking in my head. I did think about this during the awards because well, do they really want to hear like a preachy speech from like a liberal Hollywood elite or blah blah blah, whatever the fuck the Twitter would say about it? All I was thinking was, it would be badass if do you remember there's a great speech that Christian Bale gave for when he won at the Golden Globes a couple years ago for playing Dick Cheney in Vice. And I don't know how I remembered this speech, but I'm just thinking because Christian Bale goes up there for playing Dick Cheney at the Golden Globes to give his speech, and he's got like his wine glass in his hand or whatever, and he gives his whole speech, and he doesn't really say anything about the movie, I think, or like he gives a typical speech, whatever. Nothing. He doesn't really say anything political or like commenting on Dick Cheney or anything. And at the end, he just goes, he raises his glass and he goes, and I would just like to thank Satan for inspiring this role. And he walks off stage. And all I thought was, what if Stan gets up there and he doesn't really say no commentary and he just goes, and I'd like to thank Hitler for inspiring this role, and walks off stage. Something like that would be so badass. But anyway, yeah, a guy can dream, right? Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so yeah, sorry, Tim Cham, you being all like snivelly, just going, yeah, I'm Johnny Cash, yeah, smoking a cigarette, yeah, that ain't gonna, maybe next year. And then of course, the big upset of the night, actress in a leading role, um, fucking Mikey Madison. And yeah, you're right. I always forget about that. The whole idea that they love to award the young actress and give it to the older actor, like the older seasoned actor. I don't know, man. I was so confident Demi got this. And what's so funny? If I was voting, I think I would have, in my heart of hearts, I think because it is my favorite movie of the year, and because I think Mikey Madison genuinely gave just not a better performance. She's just such a bigger part and more essential to Honora. She's like the whole reason that movie works. And Demi Moore, as much as I loved her performance, a lot of it also is Margaret Qualley. I think Mikey deserved it more. However, this is where my like weighted bias comes in, where I just think, oh, the substance was so good though, and Demi was, I would have given it to Demi and then let Honora win Best Picture. Like, Mikey didn't need this one, but then when she won in that upset, I was like, oh my god, you didn't have to beat him that hard, Jesus. But I don't know if this was a nice win for you, but
So I did get it right because I did predict her in the end.
mm,
However, for the majority of the season, I was rooting for Demi Moore because I loved The Substance. I thought she was great in it, and also just for broader reasons. I'm a horror stan, you're a horror stan. It was just so cool this year to see a horror movie break in the way that it did. And so to see her win, I think would have been, a win for a horror performance. That doesn't usually happen. So it just would have been so special if she had won. But when she wound up losing BAFTA, I kind of could see the writing on the wall that it probably wasn't going to happen and that we were going to have to look elsewhere. And since Honora looked like it was going to win Best Picture, it seemed smart to bet with Mikey, which isn't to take anything away from Mikey. She's really fucking good in the movie. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen Jimmy win, and I probably would have voted for her if I was voting. But I kind of knew that Honora was going to win, even though it was close. It was a nail biter. I genuinely, like, down to the last wire, I was like, oh no, this could be to me. This could be to me, or maybe the Brazilians have it. Maybe they have it. Maybe it's going to be Fernando Torres. But no, it was Mikey in the end, and a good win at that.
Yeah, and I think she seemed genuinely surprised. She just kind of gave a very humble speech, thanked the sex worker community, and and just walked off. And but yeah, no, I thought it was so great. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my god, I did not think that was going to happen. But you know what? I'm genuinely happy that I'm so I'm so happy with the results of this year's Oscars, because not only did my favorite movie sweep, but it wasn't a total lock for everything. Like, we did actually get real upsets, which I was happy with. Um, you know, and we kind of skipped over this when we were talking about Adrian Brody, but I just got to mention about Adrian Brody. Love him so much. I I love that. I remember learning about how this guy, was in The Pianist. One, I think it was in 2000, youngest actor to ever win for a leading role. And then his career just kind of, I don't want to say down the tubes, but it seems like Hollywood just didn't really know what to do with a guy like him after that. So he was doing like straight to like Redbox stuff, but every time he would pop up in a movie, and I wouldn't really see him a lot in leading roles. He would be in supporting roles a lot. I remember
Yeah.
I remember when I saw him in I still love this movie because it's one of my favorite franchises. He starred in, like, I think it was 2010, he starred in one of the Predator
Mhm.
movies. Uh and I remember thinking, God damn it, do I love Adrian Brody? And I'm like, yeah, that guy won Best Actor. Why is he such a B movie star? But I love B movies. So it was great to see him just rise up from that in something like this. And
Yeah.
uh, you know, did you see people? I did see some people when the reactions were coming out. Some people were a little critical of his acceptance speech, where obviously he was going on for kind of long, and he kind of was just talking about himself a lot and his career and kind of talking about that struggle. Did you have like any issue with that? Or did you think it was a little annoying that he went on for so long? Or
Well, in the moment, I was like, okay, I know why he's doing this because he did the same thing over 20 years ago when he won the last time. But in reflection, it's like worse this time because the last time he did it because he wanted to try to give a heartfelt message because the country had just gone to war. Like the ceremony was happening a couple days after we invaded Iraq, and he wanted to give a message of peace. Um, you can criticize maybe he should have been more forceful in like actually denouncing the war, but it was still something that had substance to it. Whereas this time he kind of just seemed like he did it because he is Adrian Brody and thinks he can do that thing, and he didn't really have anything to say, and it was really vapid, and it kind of drove everything on long as probably one of the main reasons why people who were probably watching it on Hulu, their streams cut because it went over time, you know.
that happened to
And so
me.
yeah, it was kind of pointless. Oh, so the bar I was at, the watch party, the watch party I was at, they watched it on network television, so that didn't happen. We didn't lose the feed at all. But yeah, no, I think it was kind of pointless, and I do kind of agree with the people on Twitter who are like, yeah, Adrian Brody, good actor, dumb guy, and I was like, yeah, I see that. I see that because I remember sniveling when he said that his one of his children's name was India. I was like, you named your kid India, and I think his son's name was Dash. It was Dash in India, huh? Dash in India. I was like, yeah, probably very like vapid Californian under the hood there. So that's my take on him. But yeah, I have no ill will. I actually for a long time didn't know that he had an Oscar because my entire conception of him was, oh, he's that guy in Peter Jackson's King Kong. Uh,
And now he
um,
pops up in Wes Anderson movies the past couple of
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. Those are like between that win and this win, his most noteworthy stuff that's like a real movie is like King Kong and the Wes Anderson ensembles that he's been in. Like that's really it, unless you want to like give him credit. So I thought he was good in Blonde. like low key. I'm like not a true blonde defender. Because I recognize there's like a lot of problems in the movie, and I was really mad when it turned out to be a pro-life movie. But I think there's some real acting talent in that movie, and there's some good cinematography in there. And I thought he was really good in Blonde, and I didn't even realize it was him at first until I looked it up. I was like, oh shit, that was Adrian Brody, wasn't it? Yeah.
He was in the he popped up in the last season of Succession too. I didn't
Oh,
even
did he?
for a couple of episodes. I didn't even know it was him at first. And then I was like, wait a minute, that was fucking Adrian Brody? But yeah, same thing. He pops
Mhm.
up in stuff. Like he really wasn't a leading man for many years. But no, yeah, I don't know. Totally behind Adrian Brody. Uh what what else? You know what's funny? There I gotta say, just another giving it up to Conan. He had a really funny joke after Honora won the first couple of awards where he said something, oh, Honora's been a lot of been winning a lot so far tonight. And he I don't know if you caught this, but he said, yeah, it seems like Americans really like the idea of someone finally standing up to a powerful Russian. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, huh, not only is that very funny, but I didn't even think of that angle of it. That's actually a really good point. I mean, probably doesn't reflect anything, but I was like, that's a good read. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. Yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to. I didn't even get to any of the documentaries or the shorts. Did anything that you wanted to shout out in those categories?
So I love documentaries.
No, me
I've
too.
talked to you before about how I make sure that my 10 each year has a documentary movie in it. And so I also go out of my way to try to see as many documentaries as I can. And so yeah, I did see all five. And my personal favorite did win, No Other Land. That made my top 10. That is my number one documentary movie of the year. Solid win. I was not convinced that it was going to win for the longest time, because I was like, there is like a certain percentage of the industry that is Zionist, and to this day the movie still has not picked up distribution for those reasons. And so I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And I was one of those people who were teetering towards going with Porcelain War, because it seems like Ukraine or Ukraine adjacent docs have done well recently. And that did pick up like DGA for documentary feature. But I think it was, I can't remember if it was Oscar Expert or Next Best Picture, but one of those pointed out to me that, yeah, No Other Land is divisive, but in equal parts, right? It has a lot of haters and a lot of people who really love it. Um, Beyond that, there's no clear number two, because No Other Land has won a lot of critical support. And other major precursors have given it to like Superman, which didn't get nominated. Superman Christopher Reeve's story. And Porcelain War only has this one little award at DGA that isn't really all that predictive. So it's not a clear number two. So it's not clear where No Other Land haters would like pile up to like knock it out of contention. You know what I mean? So I was like, fuck it, you're right. And then Matt Negley, I think, was like, oh yeah, and if there's one thing that I'm gonna go down on my ship with, or it's gonna be No Other Land, because that's just the right thing to do. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's right, Matt Neglia, you bald bastard. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with No Other Land. No shade to Matt Negley, by the way. That's just like a Twitter joke. But yeah, it's so I went with No Other Land, and No Other Land won. That was an excellent win. But this year, actually, all five of those movies were really solid movies. I would say if I had to pick a least favorite, it would probably be Porcelain War, because it didn't do a lot for me, but it's fine on the merits. It's about like artists in the Ukraine war and how they're adapting to living a life of wartime. Um, a friend of mine, when they saw it, they shared this meme where it's literally this, and the meme is like, I'm going to kill you with the power of friendship and this gun I found. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally the movie. But like, yeah, but no, the solid movies in there. Black Box Diaries, that's incredible movie. Soundtrack to Coup d'etat, that made my honorable mentions. Amazing movie. There's one I'm forgetting. uh No Other Land,
Oh,
soundtrack to Coup d'etat.
Sugarcane.
Sugarcane, yes, I saw that on streaming. Incredible movie, fantastic movie. and part of a reckoning that we ourselves need to have in this country too. So truly amazing movies. Same thing with international feature. I didn't get to say this, but Seed of the Sacred Fig made my top 10 this year. I know you weren't as high on it. I saw your letterbox score, but that was an incredible movie, and I was really glad to see that get nominated. So yeah, no, documentary feature was a solid category this year, and I'm so glad that No Other Land won. It would have been bleak if it lost, personally. And then for the shorts, I did see all the shorts. I was surprised, genuinely surprised that In the Shadow of the Cypress won. I didn't think that voters would go for it because it's very metaphorical, very symbolic. It's not like straightforward at all. And so it's an interesting little win that it won. My personal favorite in that category was Wander to Wonder, which is like a British stop motion film. It's all like grisly and gross and
Mm,
interesting and kind of like a VHS aesthetic. It's really fun. You should check it out. Actually, I think you'd like it.
okay.
Especially since you love Mad God. So,
Oh,
um,
yes, I do.
yeah. So that would have been my pick. I predicted Yuck because that's what everyone was telling me to predict. So I predicted Yuck, which was a short film. It was French, and it's kind of like it's a little cutesy. It's kind of about like children learning what kissing is, basically,
Mm-hmm.
on like a summer vacation, like camping ground. And the joke is like kids think kissing is gross, even though they think about it sometimes. Little kid stuff like that. But yeah, and then I'm actually this is what Gold Derby picked. Gold Derby picked Beautiful Men, and I saw that got a little bit of hate online, but I actually liked the Beautiful Men. I actually like Beautiful Men. I think you should check that out because I think that had a lot to say about male insecurity, and I liked it for that reason. And so yeah, no, that was animated short. Documentary short, my personal favorite was Incident, by and far
Mm-hmm.
the best in that category. Really solid short. I highly recommend that you check that out.
I
Just
heard about
a
that one.
feat,
Yeah.
a feat in editing, and you sit there and it's so impactful, and you leave so angry at the things that it's showing you. But yeah, that went to who won in that category. This one I didn't get right.
Uh,
It went to uh
wait, this is live action short?
documentary short.
Oh,
Documentary short.
documentary short. Documentary short. Where is it? Oh, it
Only Girl
went.
in the
Yeah.
Orchestra. That's who it went to. Yes, I predicted that, and no, I did get that one right. That was the one I got right. So yes, which was a little predictable. The Academy, they like the like safe music ones. So that's why I got that one right. But and I don't even hate it that much. It's just like a little whatever. I liked it actually more than the other music one, which was Instruments of a Beating Heart, because that one is about first graders in Japan learning to play instruments. I was like, that's great. But whereas Only Girl in the Orchestra, it's interesting because it's about the first woman to ever become part of like the New York Symphony Orchestra,
Hmm.
and she plays. What does she play? I think she plays the cello, or no, the double bass. She plays the double bass. And she's been doing it since the '60s, and she retired. But the movie is made by her niece, and so some people feel the movie's a little incurious in some ways because it's made by someone who loves the subject, is biased about the subject. So it doesn't like have a lot of interesting things to say as a result. It's kind of just like, isn't my aunt great? I love my aunt. She's really cool. It's like fair, I love my aunt too. Um, but then live action short, I predicted Alien or Alien. I don't know if we came up with a solid way of pronouncing that. That was a thriller about immigration enforcement in this country. And that's what a lot of people were thinking because they had gone political in that category before, but instead they went for the safer choice, which I like that. I like that too. I probably would have voted for that just because it was zany. I'm not a robot. A lot of fun. Some people would say it's the better version of Companion. Uh, that similar concept. But yeah, those are two that I got wrong. In that category, yeah, you should check out Aileen. That's a really good short. Um, yeah.
Yeah. No, I gotta catch up on some of these. I am disappointed that I didn't check out more documentaries this year because I truly love seeing documentaries. I think I just got so caught up with Man, so many movies that I wanted to see were not available in just my local theaters or even my local art house. So I was like, every weekend I was like jumping around trying to find different. I didn't see I'm Still Here until like last week. You know,
Oh shit.
it was just playing. It was the last best. I wanted to see every Best Picture nominee. That was my mandate. I said I got to see every Best Picture nominee.
If you
Uh,
have Disney Plus or Hulu, Sugarcane's on there.
Yeah, I got to check out a lot of those ones, because I do remember even last year I checked out a lot of shorts. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I really don't have many complaints. I thought it was such a good year for the Oscars. I think we're really seeing the Academy start to change, and that's really cool to see with just so many different voices and so many weirder movies and better choices. I think it is unfortunate some years, you know, you just get like, I like Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer deserved the Oscar, but it was kind of a boring race because it was a lock from the beginning. You know, we knew Oppenheimer was getting it. Um,
Well, we knew Oppenheimer was getting it the moment that they pushed Dune Part 2 to this year. Because if you remember, people were like, "Oh yeah, Oppenheimer's a really big deal. This is the movie of the summer along with Barbie, but it's more prestigious, I guess you could say, than Barbie." But we were like, "Oh, is Dune Part 2 coming out? We don't know. The strike might have messed that up." Um, and because if it came out, it would have like really put Oppenheimer up for its money in the techs. You know what I mean? And it really would have thrown a lot of things into question. But then Warner Brothers faithfully decided to push it to March because they wanted to wait for the strike to end so they could get Timmy and Zendaya to come out and like market it for them, basically. And so yeah, after we got that announcement, yeah, it was over. Oppenheimer was going to win. It was going to steamroll everything, and I think it won how many Oscars? I don't know, like 7 or something. Yeah, yeah, crazy.
yeah, no. I was even just looking at a letterbox list of all of the Best Picture winners and just going down the line. I mean, it seems like the Academy's just definitely going in a good direction. Everything, everywhere, all at once. You know, and then we're still gonna have years where I mean, I think Coda was I forget which year, 2021 when that came
Yep.
out. I mean, that was the COVID year. But man, I remember thinking, what a fucking nothing burger. I don't know how you felt about Coda, but I was like, wow, we gave the award to a Disney Channel original movie. Felt like I don't know.
So I wasn't watching as closely as in real time back then, so I wasn't like invested in that like heartache of it winning. I guess you could
Right.
say. Like I think it's a fine movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I actually love Power of the Dog. So retroactively, if I was like watching it in real time, I would have been mad that it didn't win because I actually think Power of the Dog is really good, and I would have like been like fighting some critics who were like, "Oh, this is boring. I don't like Power of the Dog. This is a sleeper." I'm like, "No, it's a good movie, you motherfuckers. Uh, it's a rich text. Like, learn to interpret." But no. So absolutely no, no. It's fine. It's fine. Like, I don't hate it. It should have won Best Picture, no, but like it's okay. I don't like. It's not as bad as like Green Book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like Crash. Like it's fine. It's like it's like a fine movie, aggressively fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like I said again, there are some years, right? That was the year of Power of the Dog. That was a good movie. That would have been better. I mean, you know, and then like I don't know, like I didn't really care for Nomadland. Green Book was not good. I like The Shape of Water, but yeah, that wasn't. I didn't really start following the Oscars until the Moonlight year, I believe. That's kind of the first year I kind of started following everything. But yeah, love Moonlight. But yeah, no, I mean. Um, it's just a good direction. Only other thing I guess I just wanted to just mention real quick. The Oscar show itself, there were the musical numbers. Loved Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo opening it up. I thought that was such a powerful opener. I loved that performance. And them starting with Over the Rainbow was a really, really solid choice to get Ariana a little bit more in there with Cynthia Erivo. I'm so stupid because as that performance went along, I kept saying to myself, wait a minute, are they not going to do Defying Gravity? And then they finally did it. But so that was great. What was up with the Bond Tribute, I guess, because now it's owned by Amazon, so we're celebrating the death of Bond.
Yeah, we're mourning Bond's death as like a cultural institution, which fair. But
And then
but
they,
yeah, it's a little odd because we haven't had a Bond movie in like 4 years now. So yeah, but it was fun. I liked the songs. I wish Adele was actually there to sing her song what they performed. But I like Margaret Qualley. It was cool to see her have a little fun in that sequence.
yeah, come out
Yeah.
and do the like doing the this, like almost the biting her lip thing that might as well be iconic now. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, and no real other complaints. Yeah, just thought it was overall. I mean, there's obviously some hiccups here and there, but overall, what a great fucking year for the
It
Oscars.
was pretty good.
Yeah.
Clearly, the decision to diversify and like incorporate more international voters and younger voters has really pushed things towards in a more interesting direction. And it's really changed the way that we think about like documentary feature and animated feature, and in terms of what can get into Best Picture. Like like it's because of this that there's like a correlation between who wins the Palme d'Or and who might be getting nominated now. That wasn't always a thing for years, and now you kind of like in retrospect, almost because of this, it's like, of course they're going to go with Honora, right? Honora was the first American film to win the Palme d'Or in 14 years. It hadn't been done in all that time. And of course it was going to go to that. Of course it was going to go to this like indie filmmaker who would build up all this goodwill. And here you are, here's his moment to shine, you know? So especially since he had gotten attention only a few short years ago with Florida Project. So, you know, it was a good year. It was a good year for the Oscars, I think.
Yeah. Um, all right. Last question I have for you. Who would be your dream Oscar host other than John Mulaney?
Oh, I can't say John Mulaney.
Well,
I can't.
everyone, it's so funny. Like, they must have asked him because everyone says
They
John
did.
Mulaney, and I don't know. Did
They
he?
they asked him this. They asked him this year, and he was like, "I'm not doing it."
What?
And so that's why they went with Conan O'Brien, because he had like that brief bit where he was like presenting last year's Oscars, and everyone was like, "Why is this not him? He's clearly good." And so they asked him this year, and he was like, "I'm not doing it." And so that's why they went with Conan. Yeah.
Everyone, see, we gotta, and I don't want to say we gotta stop shitting on hosts because yeah, Kimmel should be shit on. I thought Nikki Glazer was good at the Globes, but yeah, no, I mean, god damn it, John Mulaney. But who other than John Mulaney would you pick to be a host for the Oscars? Like, if you
Bring
could
back
think,
Seth MacFarlane.
really,
Yeah.
after the infamous "we saw your boobs" bit, dude.
Yeah. Bring back Seth MacFarlane because he's a little bit of a blockhead, but he's also a fellow theater kid at heart, and I think he would be a lot of fun to have.
Have you ever heard me and Gene go on our rants about how we know Seth MacFarlane has such a huge ego, but we grew up with not just Family Guy, but we have such a deep love for Seth MacFarlane. you should you should listen. Sometimes me and Gene go on tangents about him. But yeah, no,
Are you
that's
like big time TED defenders?
do you know how much I hate myself? I watched the Ted Peacock show.
I did too. Don't feel bad.
And god damn it, is that shit like comfort food.
It
You
wasn't terrible. I had a
you
fun time.
you just can't like I hate to, it's so, I don't even want to say it's lazy, but like the jokes are funny. Like when he
Yeah.
was doing the thing, watch this. Now let's invade Poland. They're like, oh, it was so they're so, and then like, oh yeah, this one time, and the kid who played against him, the young Mark Wahlberg character, was so good. Anyway, yeah, no, I guess that's a good choice. I don't know. I mean, I think about my favorite actor of all time. Unconventional choice, but I would love to see Sam Jackson be a host. Uh,
Oh, that'd be fun.
he's such, man, what a guy that just needs to get his flowers. Like, or even just a dual thing of like, what if it was like Sam Jackson and Uma Thurman, like a Pulp Fiction reunion? I don't know. That's me just being wishful thinking. You know who? Depending on the year, maybe if this was like the Oppenheimer year where you had more like historical movies up for awards, I don't think it would be an interesting experiment to see how Bill Burr would do.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Because he also is a guy that likes movies. He does enjoy movies. He'll talk about movies. But I like, I don't think he's like he's more everyman blue collar, so I don't know how he would, but I
He's
think it
very
would,
gregarious. So like
yeah.
every time something would happen, he'd be like, "What?
I
I'll
think
put you through the wall."
I think he would be, I don't know how he would play in the room, but at home I think he would really, I don't know. I think that would be an interesting try to see, cuz he's genuinely funny. I don't know how he would do in a room full of elite actors, but I think that would be an interesting experiment to see how he would do.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I think we covered just about everything. I don't know, any last thoughts that you had, or pretty much cover everything?
Uh, that covers it for me. I had a good Oscar run, 19 out of 23. I'm pretty proud of that. Looking forward to this year's race. We'll see what's coming. Lord help us if that Michael Jackson biopic winds up crushing. Good God.
Oh, you really think? Oh, I don't even look ahead. I don't even know what's going to be in the race this year. I wait till the festivals start coming and all the buzz starts for that. I don't, God help us if, yeah, hopefully if anything, it's a year where we're at least excited about the nominations, so because that's not every year.
There's some cool movies on the horizon, but like that's like an early like handicapper thing that people are keeping their eyes on because it's a, celebrity biopics tend to do well in Hollywood. And Michael Jackson, obviously a music icon, and this movie actually will have Coleman Domingo, not as Michael, but as Michael's dad, Joe Jackson, right? That's the name of the dad. Yeah,
Oh, that's his
so
Oscar.
yeah, and I'm gonna be mad about it because Coleman Domingo, I love him so much. I've loved everything he's been in, but I'm like, really, man? You're gonna like attach yourself to the Jackson family estate approved Michael Jackson biopic, which not only is estate approved, so it's controlled to benefit his image, but well, instead of just alighting it, is going to directly address the pedophilia controversy. So we're going to get pedophilia apologetics, and that's what you want to get your Oscar for, my man?
There's no
Playing
way.
Michael's abusive dad?
There's no way in hell. I just can't imagine a world where that biopic comes out. It's state approved. They have no mention of the controversy, or like not a significant mention of the controversies in the movie, and it gets Oscar buzz. I just can't, even though it's Michael Jackson, I just can't see a world where that gets Oscar buzz, where it's like if it's that sanitized. But
I feel like this is going to clean up at the box office. I feel like it is, and I don't think it's going to matter if it's mid because people are going to be like, "Oh, I like Michael Jackson. He's fun."
yeah,
And it's literally, and there's like has Coleman Domingo in it, and Michael's being played by his real life nephew.
yes, that I knew. Yeah. Uh,
So there's going to be like family resemblance and presumably singing talent. I don't know, but maybe. So
yeah,
yeah, it's going to be big.
yeah. We'll be in for it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But all right, Remington, I think we did good work here. Why don't you let everyone know where the people can find you?
I am at Angrier Every Day on Twitter because certainly aren't we all? Uh, that's where you can find me, where you can see me talk about movies and also whine and despair on the state of our country as we descend further and further into fascism. Aren't I a treat?
Yeah, it's great. Make comedy legal again.
Ugh.
God, I know. Yeah, nope. Yeah. Right back in 2016. All right, folks. Stay safe out there. Happy Oscars. We will see you next week.